Hi everybody, my name is Chris if you haven't been here before, and this is the way I do it. Today we're going to change the knives on this sickle bar mower, Model L Gravely. Please comment below if you have any ways that you do it that works better. Come along with me, please subscribe, and enjoy the video. So we first need to get this off the machine. It's just 2 bolts. You can pull it out, get this complete bar assembly off the machine. We'll get it up where you can work on it on my outdoor workbench. It's held in place with 4 bolts. Ironically, 3 of them are broken. I have to grind the top of the bolt because I think somebody welded it or peened it. So I'm still going to try to unbolt it. I probably should have used my impact wrench, but I'm a little old-fashioned sometimes. I forget. Now with that removed, this just slides right out of the end. You don't have to take the, what is there, 3 hold downs, 4 hold downs. Now you certainly can replace them all if you want, but you saw how easy it was to take off. So we can just look at it and replace the ones that are loose or are really worn out or cracked. Now I've done this both ways. I've ground them off and I've hit them with a chisel. Sometimes you can actually drive on the edge of the knife and it'll shear the rivet off. All depends on what you like. I try to avoid grinding on the bar, but sometimes that's the best way to get the rivet out. Yeah, these were on the shelf at Runnings or Tractor Supply. I think I got these at Runnings. And they matched up pretty well. The only difference is they're a little thicker. You can see these are for Deere, Ford, Chalmers. I have this box of rivets that I have for my hay mower, my regular hay mower section. So they also make the section bolts, which are kind of a screw on one side like a panhead, and on the other side a locking nut. The nice thing about the rivet is the rivet will expand and fill the hole, so there's no chance of any movement. The rivets may not always be as tight, but they've been using them for years. And when you put them on, you just throw them in the hole, put something up against the back of them, and peen them over. It doesn't have to be real fancy. You can use tools and things that make the head look real nice, round, and good looking, but if you hammer on them, it'll expand them out to fill the hole and then peen the head over to hold them in place. The vice grips are holding the knife down, so there's no clearance in there. And this is just monotony going on again, showing how I replace the next one in the line. You don't always need the vice grip, but it's a good way to be sure that it's holding the knife onto the bar. Now I'm getting to the center 3 of them. So these center 3 need holes drilled out. The center one needs both drilled out to 1/4 inch for the bolts, and the 2 on the outside need the 2 holes drilled out that will be underneath the drive head, the drive piece. You can see I drilled right through them. Don't worry, the sections are only work hardened on the edge where they're discolored, or flame hardened I should say. So the drill does go right through it. You want the drill as close to the bolt size as you can so there's no movement. And again, these that I found that match up pretty well are thicker than what the original ones. I think I saw the original ones online for over $100 for this section, for what you need. These are actually about, in 2021, they're about $1 a piece. I think it was about $10 for the package, which is more than we should pay, but probably not a real bad price. When I drill a rivet out that is not coming out that well, you always try to avoid hitting the sides, so make sure you drill smaller. I fit them all to make sure they'll fill the space. And then because I'm using rivets, I'll put these two on the outside with one rivet. I put a bolt in there just to make sure that hole's lined up before I set the rivet. Repeat on the right hand one. I'm just going through with my disc grinder and sharpening up, putting a little edge on them. I just follow the factory angle. I don't get real fancy. It's always worked fine for me. I think that's about 30 degrees. I actually like to touch the back too, so I go for a really sharp edge. Just seems to work good. There's people out there that are more worried about it than I am, but I figure if you got something that feels sharp like a knife, it's going to cut for a while. And again, it's real easy to take it apart and sharpen it over again. So the last thing I'm going to do on this bar is put it together. You notice I left the one knife out because it's got to be assembled while it's in the device. Luckily they have clearance on the back, so we'll just slide this in here, make sure nothing catches. I do have a couple of guards that are bent. I have extra guards, but I just wanted to get this thing going. My vise stand, it was an old oil tank stand, and I was going to get rid of it and do something else, but I set it outside the garage many years ago, and it's just been really handy right where it is. So I've got the cutting section in place, and there's access through the back. I like a grade 5 bolt. If you have a grade 8, they can be a little brittle, and of course the grades less than 5 can be a little too soft. They can actually break off when you tighten them. And because they're under such vibrating forces, you never want to reuse any bolt here. So anytime you take it apart, you want to have some new bolts. I went to the hardware store and bought some bolts the other day, and it was 20 bucks for, like, I don't know, a small bag of bolts. So you might want to buy your bolts at Tractor Supply or Running, someplace where they have the bigger bins. Honestly, what I used here were some grade 8 socket head cap screws because I had them. And they were probably a little harder than what I'd like to have. They'll probably fail prematurely, but it's what I had. So reaching through the back with the Allen wrench and tighten them down. And it's a little bit long, so I'm going to have to cut them off flush with the top of the nut after it's tight. It's going to make for a clean job. Now the only thing I don't show is, since I recommend not reusing these, you probably should take some means to lock these in place. A weld on the top if you have access to welding, otherwise red Loctite, and a locking nut. Put it back on your machine, tighten up the bolts, and off you go to try it out. I'm doing a little bank here, so I gotta stop the thing before it goes over the bank. And yes, I did go over the bank a couple times, but it's all good. It's a Gravely, it can take it. So from Jamestown, New York, I got another week with my barn swallows, and that's the way I do it.